What is up, you guys? What is up, YouTube? It is Cameron from DocuGarden here, hanging out with my pups in such a great environment. What a great occasion, because as a content creator, I don't have to worry about lighting today because you are looking at me through a thermal imaging camera. That means that you are seeing the world through heat. And right now, it should look pretty weird. You might even see a heat stain on the floor if I leave my hand. What we're going to do, though, in this DocuGarden series, as we do on this channel, awesome fun experiments and learning about gardening during my first real year being able to do it, we are going to use this thermal imager to go outside right now and look at the greenhouse. Everybody says that the greenhouse is so revolutionary in temperature, so this thermal camera should be able to tell us something. I'll tell you right now that the ambient temperature is 34 to 35 degrees, but boy, it is windy, which means that the wind chill is bringing it down to about 26 degrees. And what that means is, hopefully, the inside temperature of the greenhouse is warmer than 26 at the very least, and at best it's going to be quite a bit warmer even than 34, 35, 36 degrees. We will see what it is. Make sure to leave a comment with what your prediction is, as well as future suggestions with the thermal camera on this channel. Make sure to subscribe, like, comment, and share. Let's go ahead and go outside. Welcome, my friends. We are now officially outside with the black hot temperature scale set on the thermal camera, which of course means that the hottest part of the image will appear as black and the cold will appear white. We have quite a bit of cold going on. As I said, the ambient temperature is about 34 degrees with a wind chill bringing it down to barely over 25 degrees. What we're going to do is just investigate what various gardening objects looks like, as well as ultimately the greenhouse, and we will see the effects of that. Here we have, actually quite interestingly, close-up shot of these plastic grow containers, little herb containers, where the soil is actually quite black compared to the pot that it's in itself. Maybe we can even get a bit of a closer look here if I physically pick up the difference that you can see in the warmth of my hand and the various temperature fluctuations. Mixing that up actually turned it a little bit cooler when you mix it up compared to that right there. I'm sure though, if I put my hand, I can probably warm the soil up. As you can see, I'm turning it black with the heat from my hand. Let's go ahead and change to white hot. So now the warmest things in the image will appear as white. As we can see, perhaps if we look at Cal, we see him in white, just about. You can see the large growing containers over there, with the soil being actually quite warm, and the garden beds, actually the bottoms of the garden beds showing as quite a bit warmer than ambient, and the garden bed as a whole, an entire layer of warm white, very close up on the soil, reaching inside and digging into, I'm assuming it's actually cooling down, because the deeper you go into the soil, the more moisture it's holding, which that moisture will be a little bit cool due to it being just wet water. And what we're going to do is switch it back to black hot and take a look at the greenhouse. There's the greenhouse. More of the Raxley bags actually showing up as quite warm. But let's go ahead and get a little temperature reading inside the greenhouse, because one very important aspect, of course, is that the greenhouse is shielding the interior from wind. Keep in mind that we are on black hot, so the black areas of the image are the hottest. And pay attention to the temperature readings if you care to believe them on the screen. So the protection from the wind is doing a fantastic job with the greenhouse all sealed up. And with an ambient temperature of about 35 and an actual real field temperature of basically 25, I can look at the temperature gauge that is inside of the greenhouse and see quite clearly that the black thing right there is the temperature gauge, and it's holding right now at about 75 degrees. That's about a 50-degree difference when you count for the wind. And here's just a view of the whole backyard. We'll switch it to white hot, so the hottest part of the image is white. And so the exterior, the actual physical material that the greenhouse is made of, is still appearing as being quite cold. As you can see, we are in white hot, and the greenhouse is showing up as black. But that might just be because it's reflecting the cold and just kind of retaining the heat on the inside. The Raxley grow bags are quite warm. The raised beds are actually doing a decent job, I believe, of keeping the warmth. Let's go ahead and take another quick look though at the greenhouse, which is the main subject here. We can see this is again white hot, so the exterior of the greenhouse being black because it's quite cold. Let's pay attention to the temperature reading though. So the yellow marker on your screen, which is where I am holding centered, we see about 45, 46 degrees, which is still about 20 degrees warmer than the feels like temperature. But if I go ahead and open the greenhouse, so now I'm actually inside the greenhouse, and holy smokes, it is very much noticeably warm in here. I could easily just put a sleeping bag in here and just totally relax. So what we're seeing though, if you pay attention to the red indicator, we have about 85 degrees, 86 degrees on the metal frame inside of the greenhouse. The ground inside of the greenhouse is about 70 degrees. So just the ground temperature is about 70. And I can tell you just from being in here that it's quite warm. Still only showing about 43, 44 degrees. The inside wall maybe going up to 50. But to be fair, it also has kind of a layer of a dew. You can see there's moisture up on the roof, and I think the temperature of that dew is maybe throwing that temperature reading off. But I can tell you that just the ambient feel, well, it's literally almost 80 degrees according to this temperature gauge. Feels absolutely fantastic. In fact, I'm just now realizing, you can see that there are plants popping up out of the ground in the greenhouse. So right here is a green plant that's popping up, as well as we have a little plant popping up right there. So these plants that are just native, local in the ground are loving this and actually popping up. You can see this right here, another plant popping up, in the greenhouse, where I'm not really getting that outside of it. And we'll step outside now and take a look where we are getting more like in the high 50s to low 60s. So it's maybe a 10-degree difference just about the ground temperature. I believe that's quite cool.